Amen. Amen. Baruch Adonai Amivaro Be'olam Vo'ed. No, I forgot. Yes, good idea. All right.
Hi, Matt.
Hi, how are you?
Good, Baruch Hashem. How's Rabbi doing?
Chazei Hashem, very good. I just finished my
Yeah, I heard.
It's
I'll let the oilam know you're on.
Right outside my window. I was very, very, very lucky to have a minion there the whole time. And Baruch Hashem. Okay. So are there other fellows on?
I just announced it on the WhatsApp chat group that you're on, so now we're getting people.
Okay. Okay, very good. Who was Yaakov?
Yeah.
Did you write me a suggestion for a share with the whole outline?
I did not.
Trying to remember who did. I think I must have lost it. I'll try to do it next week. I have to find out who did. Okay, how are we doing over there? We have some people?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start. I'm going to start by telling you something. We get into how to be understood in and when you're discussing something with somebody, not to have a machlokes, not to have an argument, but to make your point and to be sure that you understand each other. And it just so happened, we finished we had our grand siyum on Sunday this week. Our grand siyum was on Sunday, and the fellows spoke, and it was like a very, very special thing because we had about 18 boys speaking here, and we had about 9 or 10 boys that were in the States already, or in England, Canada, wherever they might be. One in Belgium, I'm not sure.
A little bland.
And
With the Popeyes ranch sauce.
And they were all telling stories. They were all telling their stories, and one of the fellows was talking about a time before Corona, when we had forums in the yeshiva. We would have a topic, we'd have a forum. What happens is that the rebbeim sit up in front, and we discuss an issue, and the boys ask questions or say comments, and then then rebbeim, respond, whatever. It's like a very, very interesting, very exciting session. And one of the fellows always would argue, and sometimes say things that were way, way out the opposite of anything which might be called yeshivish attitude, or a Torah hashkafa. And he said that I would call him in the next morning. He got a message, the Mash wants to speak to you. So of course he said, what did I do? I did something wrong. He was a little bit concerned. I'm here. And he he would come to my office, and I said, tell me, let me hear again what you said last night. what you said at the forum. Let me hear what you said. I want to hear it again. I want to be sure I understood it right. And I would let him say it. And I would ask him questions. Is this what you meant? Is this what you meant? Right? And he said that he was impressed because I was really listening to his side. I wasn't trying to call him and say, you have no idea what you're talking about. Yeah, I could have said that too, but I didn't say I have no idea what you're talking about. I said, let me hear what you're saying. And then I repeated, is this what you are saying? Is this what you mean? Right? And I said it over. And when I got it right, I finally got it right. I said, okay, now can I say something maybe to the contrary? Are you ready to listen? And of course he was. And most often he heard, right? When you're discussing something, when there's an issue, when there's an argument, right? First thing to do, let me say what I think I hear you say. Is this what you mean? Is this what you are saying? Am I hearing you correctly or am I not? That way you give credence, what's the word? To what the other person is saying. Number one, often arguments are because you just don't understand each other. You think that he is saying one thing and he is saying something else. Or with your spouse, you think she is saying something and she really means something else, right? If you say, is this what you meant, right? Did I say it right, right? So then it makes it easier for the person that you are talking with, would it be your spouse or somebody else, to hear what you are saying, because you're giving validity to what he or she is saying, right? That is Stam and Eitzah, and it works. It really, really works. I wanted to tell you that there's a new sefer called Pnei Menachem. Maybe it's just new in Israel, right? Am I showing it to you? I'm trying to show it to you. The Pnei Menachem, right? It's about it was for a short time the Rebbe of Gor. He was the brother of the Frierdiker Rebbe, and he writes here about the Imre Emes, the Ger Rebbe, the Imre Emes, and he writes there that he once wrote a letter, 1929, in Europe. And there was a lot of strife going on. That was the time of the problems in Israel also. And probably a lot of the reaction to it. And in general, there were a lot of very difficult things going on. And he wrote a letter and put it up in all the Gera places, right? Have mercy on yourselves and others. Make yourself distant from anything that even has a scent of a Machlokes. Make yourself distant from anything which has a scent of a Machlokes. And there's a quote from the Medrash that says, quote, nothing and no good can come out of strife. If there is no shalom, there is nothing. And many of the stories in the Pnei Menachem are about how he went out of his way to create shalom, to avoid machlokes, to avoid strife. And this letter from the Ger Rebbe was posted rather on all the Gera institutions, and from what I understood until this day, you have that old letter saying, keep yourself away from machlokes, keep yourself away from argument. If there is no shalom, there is nothing. We have to get along. We have to understand each other, right? And he writes over there in such a way. It's an interesting way of presenting the thing. Moshe Rabbeinu, right? He saw that a goy was beating a yid, terrible pain. He felt terrible pain, but he knows Esav son of Yaakov. That's the way it is. That's the way it is. But when he saw a Jew hitting another Jew, right? Then he lost himself. Then that was beyond the endurance of Moshe Rabbeinu even. He says, now I know why we are in such a bitter gullus. If a Yid Jew hurts another Jew, that we can't do that, right? And by the way, often in argument, whether it's with our spouses or whether it's with other people, whether it's at home, whether it's with a boss, whether it's a partner, right? So often we protect ourselves by shifting the blame on others. We put the blame on others, right? And if we're not for one reason or another, we're not successful in the work we're trying to do or in our studies, right? The most inconvenient person to blame it on is your wife, right? Or let's say if it's at a job, then there may be a coworker or a boss, but if you blame it on others to try to self-justify, right? And I'm going to explain to you something which is written about this in Yehuda Fly. That's the new Living Emunah that just came out, Yehuda 5, a very, very good one. And on page 93, he talks about this whole Indian of finding blame on other people, right? And he says like this, and what he's writing, and this is really a totally new outlook on life. It's a totally new outlook. It can change your life, and it can save you from having machlokes, from having losing your temper, getting angry, blaming other people, shifting the blame to others. All these things that make for an unhappy life and strife, right? He writes like this: how can I blame others if something went wrong? How can I blame others, right? Look, I know one thing. If it wasn't meant to be, then it wouldn't happen, right? If this is what happened, and even though it's not what I wanted and not what I hoped for, but why should I blame others when I know that Hashem is in charge? And it wouldn't have happened if Hashem did will it to happen. So that means that ultimately, I don't understand it, but it's for my own benefit. It's for my own benefit, right? And even if I'm not happy with it, it's a discomfort, right? It's not arbitrary. It's not just stop. It was part of Hashem's plan. And if I meant to go through this discomfort, so why should I be angry and blame somebody else? Why should I get angry and blame somebody else? Right? Rev Shushan Pinchas, Zichron Sarat Levracha. So he writes like this. He writes, Emunah can help you in Shalom Bayis. If I believe that Hashem, I say, Hashem, you're in control. Hashem, you're in control, right? I'm not going to get angry and speak harshly to my wife, or let's say to my partner or to my boss. I'm not going to speak harshly, right? I know Hashem is in control. Let's say dinner was not ready. I came home from a difficult day at the office, and I was so much looking forward to a ready dinner and a beautiful home. And the place was a mess. The home was messy, and dinner wasn't ready, right? So if I know, listen, Hashem also wanted me to go through this discomfort also. It wasn't enough what I had at the office. He wanted me to go through this also, right? If he didn't want me, it wouldn't have happened. So what will I do? I'll smile, quote, and ask my wife if she could use my help. I'll smile. Right? I'm not going to get upset because the home is messy. I don't know what kind of a day she had. I don't know what the children kept her too busy to clean the house or to get the dinner ready. I don't know. I can down the chaschus. I can imagine it was a very good reason. But I can smile and I can say, listen, right? If this wasn't meant to be, it wouldn't have happened. And therefore, can I help you? Can I help you? Gets up on the table, right? or if my partner didn't meet a deadline and I'm really, really upset about it, I can smile and say, let's see if we can get you an extension. I know you tried, it wasn't possible. Okay, let's see if we can give you an extension. By the way, when David HaMelech was cursed by Shimon ben Gera, right? So he said, it's a pasuk in Shmuel, he said, Elokim Oma Lo Kalel. He said, David HaMelech said, Hashem told him to curse me. He didn't hold it against him. He didn't take revenge, which he could have, right? He simply said, Hashem told him to curse me. That's the way he looked at it. And the Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld, right, the Rav of Yerushalayim, Yosef Chaim Sonnenfeld said, right, he quotes a medrash that says that because he said that, he elevated himself to a situation that he became the fourth leg on the heavenly chariot. Whatever that means, it became in the same boat as the Avos, right? The Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, and the fourth leg on the chariot is David HaMelech. Why? Because he didn't get angry, he didn't take revenge, he understood that it was from Hashem. Right? So if something doesn't work out the way we want, we just say that it was from Hashem. There's some people that once in a while, I'm sure it's not no gates to any of you, but I'll say it anyhow, just in case there's somebody out there that needs to hear it, right? You find sometimes spouses are not pleased with each other, right? So they say, oh, we were rushed into marriage. She or he is not the person I thought she or he was, right? And I was tricked into it, right? And if you know that Hashem watches every move we made, and it would not have happened if it wasn't for our ultimate benefit. By the way, the Pnei Menachem, there was a couple that were arguing, and he got involved and he tried to work out all the arguments between spouses. There were a couple of arguments for a long time, and it was very serious and very not nice. And people gave up. They said, finished, the marriage is over. He gave up. And he refused to give up. The Rebbe just continued to try to make peace and didn't stop. And when others already had stopped and given up, so somebody asked him, why are you still trying to keep it? So he slipped and he revealed, he said, because I know it's their zivug, right? Baruch Hashem, he didn't give up. They're still married, but now a lot more happy. Well, I want to tell you something. This is something everybody has to know. Everybody has to know. There's a chiyuv, right? That if you were married, the first year you're married, you don't go to milchama. You don't go to war. You don't go out to war, right? You stay at home with the wife, right? And Chazal tells us, and the pasuk tells us, the samach es ishto asher lakach. You stay at home and you don't go out to fight. The samach es ishto asher lakach. So listen to this from Rav Shalom, from Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, right? Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach, listen to what he said. He said, that chiyuv is only for the first year of marriage. The first year of marriage, you don't go out to war. But v'samach es ishto asher lokach, that's a lifelong obligation. Right? He gave shiurim to chasanim, and he always tell them, that's a lifelong obligation. Samach es ishto, make your wife happy. Make your wife happy. Let me tell you two stories. One story you probably know already. Somebody came to a Rav and he asked him about a posek, about an esrog. It was a beautiful, beautiful esrog. but it was obviously an extremely expensive one. And this person was known, I mean, the Rav knew that he didn't have that much money. It was way, way out of his league. So he looked at the esrog and he studied the esrog, and he said, "It's not for you. Take another one. Don't take this one. Take another one." And then he asked, "What's wrong? Isn't that beautiful esrog?" He said, it's a magnificent esrog, but it's extremely, extremely expensive, right? And you don't have the money for such an esrog, right? Buy a little bit less of an expensive esrog, right? And spend the rest of the money that you would have spent on this esrog as spent on getting your wife a new dress, a new shaitel, or something, you know. Says that's a mitzvah deraisa also. That's a mitzvah deraisa. Do that. Right? Okay, that's one that you probably know. I'm gonna end off with a story.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I may have said this story to you. I'm not sure. Jack, you are right. If I said it once before, it's good to hear it a second time. It's definitely good to hear it a second time. Someone please put your mute on because your conversation is coming over to everybody else. Could you put your mute on? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's listen to the story. This is a beautiful story, right? It's the Or Daniel, right? There was somebody who a couple that had no children. They had no children and they had very little money. They had very little money. And whatever money they had, they tried to put aside to buy something nice for Shabbos. They have a nice meal, at least on Shabbos. The rest of the week they manage, but on Shabbos they want to have a nice meal. So it was Shabbos, and this fellow was singing Eishes Chayil, and his wife comes walking in with a big tray of all the food that they saved for and they have ready for on Shabbos, right? And his wife is coming in with the tray, and suddenly she slips and falls, and the tray goes down, and all the Shabbos food gets thrown all over the floor. It's all ruined. The soup spilled, and whatever little chicken. It's all a mess, right? And she was so afraid of what she did. She stayed on the floor because she didn't know how her husband would react to her. And her husband caught himself. He caught himself, right? And he was singing Eishes Chayil. So he kept on singing Eishes Chayil Miyimso. And he said, Hashem, my wife is so righteous, right? And she's so good to me. And Galaso Tov V'lo Ra, she never does anything wrong. She always gives me good things. She always takes care of me. She goes out of her way to take care of me. He said, Hashem, please grant her the ability to have children. Let her have children. Kamu baneha v'ashruha. Children should also recognize how much of a tzaddik she is and how righteous she is, and that kamu banecha, and they should praise her, right? And his wife heard the beautiful words of her husband and singing Eishes Chayil, and she got up and with tears in her eyes, and she sat down and they ate the challah. All they had was challah. At night they ate the challah, right? But they ate it together and they sang Zmiros and they had a beautiful Shabbat. And that night, his father comes to him in a dream. His father comes into the dream. He said, son, what you did today, the way you sang Eishes Chayil, the way you did get angry at your wife, the way you made her feel good about herself instead of feeling terrible for what she did, that she ruined the whole Su'uda. Right? He said, when you sang that Eishes Chayil, the angels, the Malachim, and the Shemayim were singing with you. They were enjoying the beautiful music. And he said, son, even though you weren't meant to have children, right? But that changed the decree, right? And this couple was blessed with 8 children, right? because he poured himself and made his wife feel good. And that's the way to escape from argument and escape, from strife, right? To catch yourself and to understand that if it wasn't meant to happen, it wouldn't have happened. Don't blame on others. Don't look to shift the blame. Accept it, be happy with it, and say, understand that it's for your benefit, and try to make the other person, it's your wife, it's a partner or something, also feel good. Okay, fellas, I'm going to open it up for any questions. Any questions, anything that you fellas would like to add, to say? Go ahead. Is there someone out there taking care of it? Hello?
Like usual, Rabbi, I got a question. It's Yaakov Fleisher here.
Yeah, go ahead.
What is the science behind what the Rav stated earlier in regards to the reality that when a person, well, I'm talking about the scenario where you brought in the Bacher and we're verifying what he said from his speech that he gave at the end of the year graduation. The Rav delicately went through the Bacher's statements and verified with the Bacher, so that it resulted in him being more open ear to what you had to say.
Right. I mean, I'm just saying, in any discussion, any argument, right? If you say what you think the other person is saying, right, and you ask him, "Are you saying it? Is that what you meant?" So first of all, it can stop the whole argument, because it could be you misunderstood, and that happens sometimes. You might have misunderstood.
Literally,
and even if you did it happen to me?
It happened
I
to
misunderstood
me in a business meeting yesterday. And
And
I was with my partner, and we were speaking with a new person they were bringing on the team, and they made a statement, and my partner was really the head of the operation. He just made like a sigh, sort of like a sound of like disapproval. And I said, "Yeah, don't worry. I think this is what she said." And then I interpreted what she said. And then he said, "No, Yaakov, that's not what she's saying. Like, she's saying like Z, not like X." And the lady confirmed, "Yes, I am saying like Z, not like X." So we were both trying to, instead of asking her, "What did you mean?" we both turn by turn tried interpreting it. So soft, like it was.
That's the point I wanted to make. That's the way to do it. That's the way to do it. Very good.
But like, why is it? I mean, my first reaction was, is it because people are afraid they're not being heard? Is it because they have gaiva? Like, what's like? Is it negative? Is it a positive thing? Like, what's the nature behind this?
It depends on. It's depend on in that particular case. Maybe I wanted to build him up a little bit. Not he wasn't that real, right? But it depends, and sometimes it's just to be sure that you understood properly. Because if we don't understand properly, then there's no way for the Machlokes. Right. Okay. Any other question?
I guess that is it.
Okay, fellas. It was great. I hope you got something from what I said today, and I enjoyed it. I hope you did also.
Definitely.
Definitely enjoyed it.
Sammy, thank you for joining us all the time and for your comments. I appreciate it. Take care. Kol tov.
Thank you very much, Rabbi Zagabens.